Titanfall 2. You know, that game that you have either been recommended 1,000 times by people who can't shut up about it, or you keep recommending it to reluctant people who eventually fall for your praise and fall in love as well. I'm definitely one of the latter. I saw some thorough recommendations online about the quality of the second game and decided, when I got a computer that could handle it, that I would try it out as well. I finished the campaign in about 3 days and have over 300 hours in the campaign and multiplayer combined. Titanfall 2 is mainly good at just simply being fun. Liquid fun just overflows from every nook and every crevice. Every interaction feels punchy as hell. And there are just so many different mechanics that all feel like nothing else. Most guns are unique. The amazing sound design and animations just make everything so snappy and satisfying. And on top of that, every other aspect is excellent as well. The soundtrack is awesome. The relationship between the two main characters in the campaign is believable and likable. The levels are always inventive and surprising, and the pacing is just bitch perfect. If all that wasn't enough, the real unique part of Titanfall is the giant goddamn death robots that suddenly turn the game into a hero shooter. But instead of a plucky long-legged fake British girl, you play as a 6-meter metal murder machine with a voice that can make anyone question their sexuality.
Scorch AI transferring controls to pilot.
But since a while after it came out, people were excited for the sequel. A sequel that would blow everyone's mind and finally break out of the mainstream from the beginning. So, right now, I'm going to talk about the things I want to see in Titanfall 3. I'll start off with some basic wishes and get crazier and more inventive as we go on. Alright, ready? Let's go. Of course, there should be another campaign. This is just a good business decision because campaigns are really useful for marketing and making sure that people understand the mechanics before playing the multiplayer, so they won't be overwhelmed when they do. Some people would like a longer campaign, but I would personally ask to prioritize length over virtually nothing. What made the Titanfall 2 campaign so great is that there was no filler. Nothing even close to it. It was just back-to-back polished greatness. So, give us more, please. For the multiplayer, I'd like to start off with some polishing details before heading to the bigger points. Some of the animation timings of actions didn't really work. Mostly the fact that the actual grenade would be thrown very late into the grenade throwing animation, which would lead to dropping said grenade on the ground after seeing yourself throw it when dying. Also, the vaulting animation could take a long time, which would lead to you hanging off the side of a building, while a group of happy pilots emptied their car magazines into your frustrated face. Yeah, this is indeed how nitpicky I'm getting with this. The thing they have to get the most right for me is balance. Titanfall 2's multiplayer is not very well balanced, the SMGs especially. The car just dominates every single game at nearly every skill level. I've kind of felt forced to stay away from using them as not to discourage new players. They all have such large magazines, high damage and most of all mid-air accuracy that makes them extremely dominant in every skill level.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh, nee. Oh, no. Nee.
Which is probably extra disappointing because Respawn has created such a cacophony of amazing weapons with many different playstyles that can all be beat by a good player with a car. Give the players more incentives to use the amazing array of different weapons because they are something to be proud of and not to be discarded by the pew pew beam machine. So those were some of the most critical things that I feel they must get right. Let's get to some of the more interesting, additive, and more and more crazy ideas. Starting with the least interesting, the melee. In Titanfall 2, hitting the melee button when near an enemy makes you dash towards and insta-kill them in every situation. In some cases, that would be justified. Hitting a mid-air player while going at 40 kilometers an hour really feels like it should be an insta-kill, doesn't it? But I've heard a significant amount of complaining about these people being completely gunned out in a fight, panicking, hitting the melee button without aiming, and still coming out on top. Of course, I strongly believe this is a lot better than the knives that would never hit anything in some Call of Duties. But it's still not ideal, is it? So the solution I propose is a change where the enemy does damage proportional to their, and maybe their enemy's, movement speed. I'm actually proposing a change where every game does this, but maybe that's not a priority right now. This would mean that if you were moving quickly mid-air towards your enemy, you would actually one-hit them. However, when both standing still, you can only use it as a last resort and not a win the fight button. The only downside I see to this is that it'd be pretty frustrating to move at a considerable speed and nearly kill someone with a melee. So, maybe make it so that the damage would increase until you'd hit 80% damage. Then you would stay at 80% until you do 100% damage and you'd one hit. That way you don't do 99% damage and be frustrated because of the near kill, but you'd still be able to one hit them. The most important idea I wanted to get across is the following. The Counter-Strike community is one of the most varied out there, largely because there are a large amount of sub-communities. They have surf, bunny hop, prop hunt, hide and seek and more. These wouldn't be possible without plugins, custom game modes and custom maps. These are the things I want in Titanfall 3. Just imagine custom gauntlets you can run with your friends, racing maps, custom 1v1 arenas, a Smash Bros game mode. There is so much you can do with the incredible building blocks that are Titanfall. The only thing they must do is allow it to happen. So, if that sounds like something you want, share this idea, share this video. Let's work together to not only make Titanfall 3 one of the best video games ever, but one of the best communities, with an infinite amount of crazy game modes and possibilities. I know it's possible. I know it's viable, especially this presumably early in development. I can't be the only one that wants this. Maybe this is the way to turn our tiny cult following into a huge, varied community. I promised the ideas would get crazier, didn't I? Okay, so, hear me out. You know the Teletubbies. You know how they have screens on their chests. And you know those Snapchat filters that zoom in on your face. Wouldn't it be funny if a close-up of your face were projected on the chest of your Titan? So you'd see the panic on their faces when a scorch starts to melt their tits off. The disappointment as that health bar went pop when they were hit by a charged North Star critical, actually projected onto the Titan. I have thought about this a lot, and unfortunately, the more I kept thinking, the less practical it seemed. It would cost a significant amount of performance and bandwidth, and nobody would actually want to be filmed all the time. But aren't I allowed to dream? Can't my thoughts be heard and made a reality in esports or something? I would just like to dream of the best game of all time, where I can see the spooked faces of the opponents and revel in their defeats. Thank you so much for listening to my rambling and my crazy ideas. I thought I was going to talk about the DDoSing situation for a bit, but then I realized I didn't really have anything to add to that. So if you're curious about it, Google it, look it up, and everything I have to say about it is fix it. It's giving a bad image about the game, so just fix it, respawn. And other than that, if you like this, which I hope you did because you've come this far, I'm gonna make more in the future, probably, so take that into consideration. And most importantly, have a nice day.